What's up, Dragon Brood? So today we're going to be talking about nostalgia. More particularly, there was an announcement earlier today that Wizards of the Coast will be removing all of the old DCI information from the website. And I think a lot of the longtime players feel pretty bad about this. So I want to go into it, talk to you kind of candidly, give you a little bit of my perspective, and maybe make a plea to Wizards to possibly change their mind. So where do we begin really with all this? I guess I don't need these right now. I played my first sanctioned event all the way back in '97. Though I'd played tournaments before then, I wasn't really part of the DCI or anything like that. And it's always cool to be able to look back and see the people we played, kind of how much better some of those people have become. You know, troll your friends being, undefeated lifetime against them. Just so many little things that come with that. And not having access to that information anymore is tough. I'd like to think the new system they're going to will actually track all that. But it's such a hard situation, with all this. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the announcement from Wizard was basically that we're going to the new system that's going to be connected to a new tournament software. People will just use the same logins and accounts they currently have for something like Arena, and then that will be used across multiple platforms to track your results, register you for events, and whatnot. This is going to remove the use of your old DCI number and the antiquated PLANESWALKER point system. That in and of itself isn't terribly bad. But the problem is a lot of people would like this information preserved. I mean, when you think about it, one of the things that gives Magic a competitive advantage over other games is that there's this 26-year history, 27? I don't know, a long time, nearly 30 years, that we're sitting on, and not having access to that is a big deal. It may not seem like much on the surface, but it is one of the biggest advantages. And being able to tell those stories, or even when somebody's writing an article or wanting to just recant a thing, being able to go back and have a definitive history to get the details right is pretty important to that stuff. And like I said, there's a bunch of just tough feelings attached to this. I don't think, and don't get me wrong, I will say, I understand there's a business decision that has to be made. At some point, you do have to say, okay, well, this is business versus just player feel good. My question would be, how much does it generally cost to just maintain that system? Even if it's just to have it sit there just as a repository for people to come back and review from time to time. I think that is something that needs to be considered. I know a bunch of people are saying, hey, is there a way we could just go and transfer the data and whatnot? But I know some people that have worked in those type of situations, having to convert data or pull old files, and truthfully, that can take years, even with a qualified, competent staff that specializes in it. So I'm not so sure that'd be something that's feasible for the company to, A, contract people to do, but B, for the cost and the upside, I'm not sure if it's worth it. That's why I would recommend, for now, just leaving it up until we find a way for somebody to scrape that data for us that we want to keep. Or, if nothing else, find a way for people to just download their individual data and then maybe leave it up until the end of the year. Because if nothing else, we all have time being sheltered at home in isolation or whatever right now to be able to do that if we desperately want it. Or, maybe if my friends are busy and can't, I could get all of the ones for all my friends that they want or whatever. I mean, this all becomes complicated though, because if you wanted to even have an outside company have access to that, there become lots of legal issues as far as data protection and all that stuff. So I'm not really sure if that's even feasible without a giant contract and a bunch of paperwork involved. So it's not as clear cut as I think we would all like it to be, or as easy as we would like it to be. That being said, it would really be nice to have that information still be there. I mean, there's already threads all down Twitter with people sharing, all their different DCI numbers and their history, and people already telling stories. And that means something. I mean, when you have an environment and a group of players and a community that can latch on to that kind of history, that's great. I mean, think about the number of people now that are not only playing Magic, but have their kids starting to play Magic, that are 9, 10, 12 years old, being able to go back and show them those things and tell those stories. Like, that's really cool to have that available. I don't think we want to lose that. I don't know what the right solution is here, but this is one of those times that it feels like losing the history of the game is just not worth it. And I wish I just knew something better or more convenient or more affordable as far as options to get us to where we want to be. But if I can make a plea to Wizards, please put somebody on this to find a way to keep it. I mean, I know Wizards is dealing with stuff just like other major companies, and people aren't in the office and everybody's having to work from home. But there's gotta be a solution here. I mean, this just isn't this. I mean, come on. And I can get by a bunch of other things just having to be business decisions. I get that. Directions of product, cost of materials, advertising expense. I get all that. But this is one I think has a very real emotional attachment for a very large segment of the player base. And like I said, there's times I think people who don't even play competitively have benefited from this information when other people have come along and written articles or told stories or whatever and referenced this material to be able to tell those stories again. So it does have an impact, I think, on a lot of players, whether they're tournament players or not. It does add to the overall mystique, the history, the richness, the storytelling. In some cases, the camaraderie. There's a lot that goes with that. But for those of you who don't know, if you want your data, at least as far as Planeswalker points of concern and your DCI number and all that, I would log in as soon as you can and try to get access to it. They say they're going to leave it up until the end of May, I believe was the date they put up. So you've got about a month. Go get after it. Wish I had better news, but this is one that I read it and I had just a sad feeling. And that's not a great way to start the day. But I don't have that many deep emotional attachments or reactions to things like that. So I felt like it was worth coming on and sharing it, since it was an immediate reaction. That usually means something. So anyway, that's all I have for today. We'll see you next time.